Have you ever been on a train? What about a bike? A car? An aeroplane? What would life be like without any of those things? Before 1825, this was reality. The only way to get around was by horse, boat, or on your own 2 feet. Guess people didn't do much travelling back then. Then, in 1825, a train made the short trip from Stockton to Darlington, and the world would never be the same. Now you may be thinking, was it really such a big deal? Well, yes, it was. Until we had the railways, no one had travelled faster than we can on horseback. But soon, trains were thundering up and down the country at the previously unimaginable 60 miles an hour. People worried that it would be impossible to breathe at such speeds or that passengers' eyes would be damaged by having to adjust to the motion. Some serious scientists were concerned that cows would stop producing milk or that sheep would turn black from the smoke. In today's video, here are 5 ways that the railways changed Britain. Number 1. Business. Before the railways, business was often a very local affair. Without trains, it was very difficult to get your products outside your own village. Most just sold to people who lived nearby. With railways, suddenly it was possible to sell to people up and down the country much more easily. Number 2. Leisure. On a train, it was suddenly possible for people to leave their hometown without it being a huge adventure or a massive chore. It was just so speedy. The cost gradually came down and ordinary working people began to be able to afford a day at the seaside. This had never happened before and was the beginning of holidays as we know them. Number 3. Food. Before trains, it was only really possible to eat locally. There was just no way to get fresh food from far away. In the city, this was terrible. They were far from a source of fresh food. The railways, however, allowed fresh produce to be delivered daily. It also enabled fish and chips, which before you could only eat in seaside towns, to become a national dish. Number 4. Sport. We have the railways to thank for Premier League football. Sport had been popular throughout the centuries, of course, but trains made professional sport possible. Professional sports is when the sports people get paid. Suddenly, teams and their supporters could travel across the country to compete. They'd only really played locally before. Number 5. Communication. With trains, newspapers could be sent from London and Manchester, where most of the national dailies are printed, to towns across the country. The postal system also became much quicker, meaning you could get letters from your friends and family far away. With news travelling fast, the world became a little smaller. Unfortunately, it was not all good news. Markets and towns far from the railway declined. Many small villages disappeared. And with people being able to travel so quick, highly localized culture and customs started to vanish. However, for good or for bad, trains really did reshape Britain.